This podcast includes graphic depictions of true crime cases and may contain explicit language. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, everyone, and welcome to We Saw the Devil. This is Robin.
And this is Jackie.
As many of you have written and left comments on YouTube and social media channels, everyone wants us to cover the Lori Vallow case from the very beginning. Multiple people asked for a primer on the case, and I'm not going to lie, guys. Last week, I sat down to write a single episode primer on Lori Vallow case because the case is so convoluted and insane. It's not something that you can just easily tell a coworker in less than 5 minutes.
No, and I know a lot of you like to introduce your friends to this case, and you're like, oh my God, you got to hear this crazy thing.
Right. You know, maybe in my narcissism, I was like, I can do it. I can make an episode, a single episode that will cover, basically get you in the know.
I witnessed her eyes start to bleed.
They did.
And fingers started to go numb. It was weird. And I think she may have had a mini stroke.
It's possible.
You okay, Robin?
Yeah, I have recovered because it's not possible, guys. So someone on our YouTube, forgive me, I forgot your names. Like, that's going to take more than one episode. Well, you know what, kind soul, you are correct.
I believe someone on Instagram warned you too.
Yeah.
People are warning you. You can't do that.
The Lori Vallow case in particular is just really, really close to our hearts because we were technically like the first podcast to do hardcore coverage of it. I mean, we covered every single happening in the case.
This is very true. Mm-hmm. I remember when you first came up on this case.
Yes, I remember. We were actually recording an episode on Elisa Lam, and all of a sudden I was looking through my notes and an article popped up saying missing children. And it was the picture of JJ and Tylee. And I clicked on it and immediately just went down the rabbit hole. Like, we have to cover this. And we didn't cover it for probably a couple weeks after that. But we have really, really done a lot of like investigative deep dives on this.
And what was the very first thing that you remember reading that drew you into the case?
I just remember it being so shady because it was like, Lori Vallow, her ex-husband had recently died, and then she moved to Idaho, and then her new husband is an LDS author whose wife also suspiciously recently died, and now there are 2 missing children, and why isn't she? I guess like the big thing is, why isn't she, if her children are alive, just producing them?
So this was during the time when they were asking for her to produce the children through the courts. Was that in Hawaii?
She was in Hawaii at that time, yes. So we came in roughly right about when the police issued an order for her to produce the children. And I remember there was like a countdown, 5 days. She has 5 days. Is she going to do it? And it was a big media circus because of it.
So this was during the time when the police started to raise an eyebrow, being like, something's not right here.
Yep. So we have been Lori Vallow a lot of the time over the last several months. We've done deep dives on key individuals and cast of characters because there is an insane amount of people connected to this case.
Yes, there are, and it's crazy.
It is absolutely crazy. And we even went to Rexburg and interviewed locals who may have known Chad Daybell or
seen the property where the kids were found.
Yeah.
Which is so sad to think that I was there.
And the kids were still...
I bet a lot of you who live in the area feel the same way that have passed this house.
Yeah, it's so incredibly sad. Because not much has actually been happening in the Lori Vallow land in the last month or two, we have branched out to other show topics. So we've done one-off episodes of other criminal cases. We have our new cult series, which was somewhat inspired by the Lori Vallow case because we all love cults. But at the end of the day, we haven't forgotten about Lori Vallow. One of our most popular requests is to do a single episode on the case or a primer for your friends, family, neighbor. Well, again, it's going to be a little bit longer than that. So welcome to our first episode of the Lori Vallow for Dummies.
For Dummies?
Yes.
I'm a dummy. Please tell me all about it.
And it's going to be a series, guys. And you know what? I can't tell you how many episodes there are going to be because there will be enough episodes to get through all of it. Because if you try to do it yourself, it's almost like you needed a detective's enclave to pull out like the boards and the string and try to show how everyone connects and intersects. And it's crazy.
And this is exactly how you lose friends. Yeah. This is seriously, it's unless they're already really into true crime, that's how you're going to lose your friends. You have to have a cohesive way to introduce people to it.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, guys. So this is the first episode. And we're going to just do a broad overview, okay, of the timing, how the case hit, the legal aspect of it, and just kind of the chronological order of events as a whole, okay? This is very, very, very surface. This will at least get you up on the current status of the case. Then in the next episode, released next week, we are going to start from the very beginning. Now, if you want some extra credit homework, we have done deep dives on both Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell. So go back and listen to those episodes because it's literally from birth. Like, Lori Vallow was born, she went to high school, her first marriages, her batshittery. Catch up on the deep dives on Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell, and that will give you an additional background on everything. But with this series, we are in fact going to just everything that we now know, and looking back over the case and applying it and telling the story that way. So before we get into it, let's get our housekeeping out of the way. You can find us at We Saw the Devil on Facebook and Twitter. You can find us at We Saw the Devil Podcast on Instagram. Our website is wesawthedevil.com. And if you are feeling fancy like the show and want to support it, you can become a Patreon patron. And what that is for as little as $3 a month, you basically get benefits.
You get a certain amount of benefits, and it increases with each tier.
Yep. Yes. And this can include postcards from around the world for our Case of the Month, which is a Patreon-only episode, true crime goodies, ad-free episodes, discount codes for all of our merch, and access to our amazing Patreon-only Facebook group. Also, guys, don't forget we are giving away our mystery box.
$50 mystery box.
Have any of you guys seen the mystery boxes unboxed on YouTube from the dark web?
Oh, yeah.
How you get like a bloody screwdriver, a human ear. No, I'm just kidding. But that's not us.
I have ideas, though.
Yeah, but you're going to get stuff that you actually like.
I told you I was going to Martha Stewart a dark web box.
Yes.
I promised.
And multiple people wrote in and said they were really excited about a Martha Stewart dark web box.
It's a Halloween Martha Stewart dark web box.
So a lot of you have already submitted, and all you have to do is leave us a review on iTunes and then send us a screenshot of your review either to our Twitter, Instagram, email, whatever. That's it. And then you are entered. And then on the 15th, we will pick randomly. We're going, again, to fairly randomize it. Pick a winner. So the case hit the news in December of last year, in 2019, and a lot of news outlets, if you recall, reported the two missing children, J.J. Vallow, age 7, and Tylee Ryan, age 17. Police announced that their mother, a woman by the name of Lori Vallow, gave conflicting stories and accounts as to their whereabouts. And we will get into that in the next episodes as we continue telling the case, but the lies that Lori Vallow gave about the children is a batshit.
Crazy deceptions.
And you will not want to miss that. Suffice it to say, the police thought that was real sus. Lori Vallow was a beautiful, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, what appeared to be an all-American woman and mother. And I think that's what has actually drawn in most people who are interested in this case. They look at a lot of pictures of her that are flashed up in the news, and they're like, how in the hell could she have murdered her children? That's obviously why the case has been such a media circus. But her estranged husband, Charles Vallow, had also just died a couple months before all of this happened in July of 2019. And he was actually shot by Lori's brother, Alex, in a domestic dispute at her home. Lori had just moved to Rexburg, Idaho in September and was newly married to popular LDS author Chad Daybell. Now, Chad Daybell, his wife, Tammy, had also suspiciously died in October, the month after Lori Vallow's arrival in Idaho. So, going over this timeline to break it down, Lori Vallow was estranged from her fourth husband, Charles Vallow. In July of 2019, Charles was coming to see his son JJ and ended up being suspiciously murdered by Lori's brother Alex. No charges at that time were brought because it was supposedly done in self-defense during a domestic dispute. No one was arrested. Alex shot him, claimed self-defense, done. Lori and her two minor children moved to Rexburg, Idaho in the beginning of September, somewhere around September 1st. Chad Daybell's healthy, might I add, wife Tammy mysteriously died on October 19th. Lori then married Chad during a trip to Hawaii on November 5th, just 2 weeks later. And that's pretty suspicious, right?
Yes, very.
So at the end of November, right after Thanksgiving, police received a phone call from a woman by the name of Kay Woodcock. Kay Woodcock's brother was Charles Vallow, Lori Vallow's now deceased fourth husband, the husband before Chad Daybell, the one who her brother shot. A little more background on Charles, though. Charles and Lori married back in 2006, and they had a very, very turbulent marriage. Charles and Lori had adopted JJ in 2014. Now, JJ is Charles's grandnephew. Really quick recap, as I know this is confusing as hell.
Right, I'm even confused.
Kay Woodcock is the sister of Charles Vallow, Lori Vallow's dead ex-husband, number 4. Kay's son and his girlfriend had JJ, and due to drug abuse and other issues, JJ had a severe form of autism. Charles and Lori were supposedly happily married at this point in 2014, and so they decided to adopt JJ and raise him as their own child. Make sense so far?
Yes.
Alrighty. Lori also had 2 other children from previous marriages. Tylee Ryan, 17 years old. Her father, Joseph Ryan, died of heart issues in 2018, more than a decade after he and Lori had divorced. They were married for a while, got divorced, and had Tylee in that marriage. So Tylee was 17 years old, and she is one of Lori's children that she had with her. Lori's oldest child, his name is Colby, and he was from her second marriage. And in 2019, when all of this happened last year, he was in his early 20s, married, moved out of the house. He really wasn't present for any of this, to anyone's knowledge. So there are 3 children. JJ, 7 years old, who has severe autism. Tylee, age 17. And then Colby, who's in his 20s. And it's JJ and Tylee, the 2 minor children that were missing. December 11th, police determined that Tammy Daybell's death was suspicious, and they exhumed her body for an autopsy.
Wow, that's a pretty big deal.
It was a huge deal. And the next day, December 12th, Alex Cox, Lori's brother and killer of her ex-husband Charles Vallow, was found unresponsive on a toilet pooping himself in his home in Arizona.
It's just like all these guys just are dropping dead.
And of course, that was suspicious beyond belief. So December 20th, the Rexburg, Idaho police announced that there is an official investigation into the children being missing. On January 25th, Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell were located in Hawaii on the island of Kauai, and there was no sign of the children. And that's really when there was a huge media circus. People located them on the island, and they were staying in like a condominium complex that was $6,000 a month. So also on January 25th, Lori was court-ordered to physically produce the children before a judge in Rexburg, Idaho, 5 days later by January 30th. She clearly failed to do so, and this is when the media circus really hit kind of like its fever pitch at this point. Lori was arrested on the island of Kauai on Thursday, February 20th, which is an incredibly long time after.
Yeah, it is.
Held on $5 million bond, and then she was extradited to the Madison County Jail in Idaho, and this is kind of when everything exploded. She makes it to Idaho, and her bond was lowered, but it was lowered to $1 million. And at this time, her new husband, Chad Daybell, is present in court for all proceedings.
And you can see him sitting in the pews in the background with this really awful, like, tense look on his face of knowing, oh, crap.
During this time, the couple months here, there really wasn't a lot of news. Everyone's like speculating. Why hasn't Lori produced the children? Where are they? Did she send them to an LDS compound? And for those of you who aren't aware, LDS is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So people were speculating. Did she send them to like an LDS/Mormon compound? You know, no one really knew. Did she kill them? Did someone kill them? Did they run away? People were really speculating what was going on. And that was really all we had to do for a couple months was speculate. And this is when, in mid-March, when Jackie went down to Rexburg.
Yes, I went actually for my birthday. And it was shortly after she was actually arrested for not producing the children on March 5th.
You were hoping to be able to sit down in the courtroom with her, but unfortunately it was digital, right?
Yeah. Well, it was telephonic. So I got to sit there and meet Eric Gosarth from Ace Idaho News. And it was very interesting. It was really neat, and got to meet a lot of the locals, got to see JJ's school that he went to, the storage facility. So these are just to name a few things that we haven't touched base on yet, but it was really cool.
So that was in March. And then nothing with the case really happened until June. And that was a day that I will never, ever, ever forget, was June 9th of this year, of 2020. Local law enforcement, multiple counties, and the FBI served a search warrant on Chad Daybell's property in Salem, Idaho. I remember we were watching it, refreshing the news, 2 sets of human remains were found buried in his backyard.
And they had aerial shots and everything.
I actually cried because we covered, at this point, we had already done like minute-to-minute coverage, over 20 episodes. We have become friends with multiple members of the family, friends, those involved in the case. And so, you know, and it sounds cheesy, but I think this happens to so many true crime podcasts and podcast hosts that you get involved, right? Like you get invested in the case. We were all hoping for best case scenario, and then it came out, no. June 9th, they found the remains. And then the next day, June 10th, they confirmed that they were, in fact, JJ and Tylee.
When you become so attached to a case like this, and, you know, the victims, they're victims, the family members were also victims, you get emotionally anchored into it as well, even further than just being like, wow, that's so sad. I feel so bad. I wish they could find the kids.
Yeah.
Because it was a manhunt for the children.
Yeah, it really was.
And there was hope still that they could be alive, right? And that's important, is that there was a shred of hope. And when that hope is completely lost, you feel it even more so.
It was really, really, really sad. And so Chad Daybell was then arrested on 2 felony counts involving the concealment of human remains. Chad's bond was also set at $1 million. And then on June 30th, a couple weeks later, Lori's charges are updated, and she was charged with 2 felony counts of conspiracy to conceal evidence in Fremont County. And at that point, Chad and Lori are officially co-conspirators. Also need to mention, a month later, on July 22nd, both of them were tucked safely away in jail. The world was supposed to end.
Yeah, and this ties into their belief system, which we're not touching base on right now.
Not yet. We will get there. Like I said, this was supposed to be a 1 episode thing, and it's going to be probably 5 or 6.
It's very culty, okay? Just to give you a very odd surface analogy here, is that imagine having these cult fringe beliefs that could have led to the deaths of 2 children and everyone else around you potentially.
Yes.
I mean, seriously, it's crazy.
It is really insane. So on August 4th, Chad's preliminary hearing ended. And that was 2 days of basically what a preliminary hearing was, is the prosecution and the defense present their evidence on why or why not the case should move up, right? Why should it or should it not continue to a jury trial? And that was crazy. Jackie and I watched both full days in full. Some of the witnesses were from the FBI, their mobile crimes unit, their digital crimes. Yeah. Cast. There were certainly a lot of people involved. And remember in the beginning of this episode how we said that the entire reason the police got interested to begin with is that Lori gave them false information on the whereabouts of the kids? Well, that comes back to bite them in Chad's preliminary hearing. They had a friend that they basically tried to throw her under the bus. And she has actually become a star witness for the prosecution, adding on more drama into this case, which we will get there in future episodes.
Oh, there's so much drama.
So Chad's preliminary hearing concluded after the 2 days. In his case, the judge was like, yup. And that case is bound over to the district court for a jury trial. Just 3 days later, on August 7th, Lori waived her right to a preliminary hearing. She's like, nope. And she just immediately accepted a jury trial. And, you know, people do that for a variety of reasons. So we're not going to speculate on that. We'll discuss more about the legal aspect in a future episode. For the sake of this just overall quick primer, Lori did in fact waive her right to her preliminary hearing. So she's automatically going to a jury trial. The following day, Chad Daybell entered a plea of not guilty. And that was pretty much all we heard from anything between August and September. Then on September 1st, the state prosecutor, a man by the name of Rob Wood, asked that Lori and Chad be tried together jointly. And according to Wood, since both of them are accused of committing the same acts, it'll basically be more efficient, easier, cheaper, easier on the witnesses for there to be just a single trial. Chad's defense attorney also then requested that the trial be relocated out of Fremont County. There was some polling that took place in the surrounding areas, and every single person and their mother had heard of the case and did not have a
chance of a good jury pool.
No, not at all. Then, a couple days later after that, on September 9th, Chad's team objects to a joint trial with Lori. They're like, nope, we do not want to be tried with her. And funnily enough, Lori's team immediately responds and is like, I'm also not guilty, but I'm totally cool with being tried with Chad.
Yeah.
So we already have them kind of not towing the line together anymore. Chad's like, nope, I don't want to be tried with her. And Lori's like, I'm totally fine being tried with him. On September 17th, Lori Vallow's defense attorney and team again followed Chad's suit and requested that her trial also be relocated out of Fremont County. So where we are at now, guys, is that Chad's trial is going to last for 3 weeks, and it is going to start on January 11th of 2021, anticipated to end by January 29th.
That's if they don't change the date.
That's if they don't change the date or end up trying them together. Ultimately, that is up to the judge.
Or change a venue.
Right, exactly. Currently, Lori Vallow is scheduled for a jury trial for the 2 felony charges in Fremont County regarding the cover-up of the children's death, and that's set to begin March 22nd. And that trial for her is scheduled to last until April 2nd. Multiple dates, and here's the thing, is that we have some upcoming hearing dates and whatnot. That's what we have on the books currently. This is just a really quick overview of the Lori Vallow case, what happened, and where we are currently. And this, again, guys, I know a lot of you already knew this. You're like, this is old information. What the hell? Have no fear. We are going to completely deep dive.
Don't worry. This isn't actually old information because this is new information if you introduce a friend to the case.
Exactly.
So don't worry about it. We got you.
That is it. The next episode will be coming out next week, and we will just start from the beginning. So again, do your homework, listen to our deep dives on Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell. It gives you basically their entire histories up until when they met each other. Fascinating, right? Like, all of your work's done for you, and it's already available. So if you're not wanting to wait, listen to their life histories, and then join us next week, and we will just start from the beginning. Don't forget, you can find us on Facebook and Twitter at We Saw the Devil. You can find us at our website at wesawthedevil.com. You can email us at info@wesawthedevil.com.
We love your comments.
We do. And also Instagram at We Saw the Devil Podcast.
Until next crime.